I couldn't let you interrupt that intro, dude. It was too good.
Right here.
What's up, Whisper Nation? We are here doing week 2 matchup rundown with the crew, the Fantasy Whisperers. I'm Big Travie. You can find me on Twitter at BigTravieTFW. And as always, I'm joined by the Sultan of Stats, the Master of Metrics, Summy. Welcome back for week 2.
What is up, Travis? Super excited to be back on the horn with you guys for week 2 after an exciting week 1 and really jump into kind of what we learned and what we can expect.
I know you got to be geeked. We finally have some data to look at and really pick apart here.
And we're not looking at last year's data and trying to predict and project out what's going to happen, but instead knowing what's going to happen or having a better educated guess.
Yeah, at least try to predict the future a little bit. That's what we are. We're just glorified fortune tellers over here with fantasy
Call me
football.
Samsonite.
On the other mic, of course, is my buddy, my best friend, my co-founder, Johnny Game Time Hicks.
Wait a second.
I couldn't let you interrupt that intro, dude. It was too good.
Hold on. You guys are telling me that you guys don't just use the magic 8-ball like I do every single week when people ask me for advice? Man, I've been doing it wrong this whole time. I've been doing it wrong.
Will Johnny finally win this week?
Hey.
Ask again later.
Dang it. I can't even get it. See, I tell you, it's pretty accurate most of the time. That's what I'll tell you.
Well, that's what we're here to do. We are trying to tell the future as best we can based on the numbers and the analytics that we see. Yes, we like to have some fun with it, but listen, we're here to play fantasy football, win some cash, win some leagues, talk some shit, get some stuff done in our leagues. And what better way to do that than to look at the numbers and the metrics that we have. And so without further ado, let's jump into this. We go team by team. Every fantasy relevant player you can think of, we're going to discuss. Without further ado, we're going to do Thursday night's battle of the Heisman Trophy #1 pick quarterbacks. The battle for Ohio. We've got Cleveland hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a 44-point over-under from Vegas. They've got, Cleveland favored by 5.5 here, Summy. And some of the things that we're looking at here is, will this Cleveland passing game ever get going? How does that running back breakdown work? Are you frustrated? Some of these things we've got to look at. So without putting it on too much here, Summy, let us know how you're looking at Baker Mayfield on this passing attack, first of all.
Yeah. So I think the line is actually, this is my fault. I didn't update this in our notes here, but the line's actually been pushed up and the Browns are actually favored by 6 points now, 6.5 points somewhere. So I think that signals, it's some confidence and a bounce back here for Cleveland. For me personally, it's tough, man, because there's so many injuries on this offensive line. The new O-line that Kevin Stefanski tried to put together for Baker and for this new offensive scheme, they seem to be banged up. The secondary's banged up, so it's really tough for me to see Baker getting back into form this week. I mean, if you look at last week, just 46.9% of his passes were deemed accurate. And I get it, he was up against the Ravens in a harsh environment, and it's really tough to play on the road, when you're playing the Ravens your first game of the year. But I truly do think he's, if you watch the game, he's still spooked. He's bailing out of the pocket when, he could stand and deliver. And I think that's kind of been the knock on him now, where he's just inside his own head. But I mean, I'm not really too worried about the running game here, though, because I know a lot of Nick Chubb owners were freaking out last week, right? Myself being one of them. You have to understand that Nick Chubb has never been game script proof, right? He's never been that guy like Saquon, like Zeke. Even though he could be, he has that potential. But it just gets harder when you have an elite talent like Kareem Hunt in the backfield there. You guys have to keep in mind, Kareem Hunt, he led the league in rushing his rookie year. So this guy's he's a special talent. So it gets harder to separate yourself from a talent like that. And if they have Kareem Hunt, they paid him, they're going to use him. So we didn't see as much involvement with Kareem Hunt. I mean, the production we didn't see last week, but I do think that Kareem is a weekly flex play, regardless of game script. I think he will be involved to some capacity, but I think Nick Chubb is really going to need the game script to go in his favor to really hit those ceiling weeks. As far as the passing game goes, I mean, what do you guys think about this connection between OBJ and Baker? Johnny, what are you feeling about that? Are you confident?
I am not. I mean, certainly it will take tomorrow, but if you are getting 10 targets and you're only able to complete, very few of those targets, then 3 receptions on 10 targets, that is definitely not acceptable. It shows that either, both him and Baker are not on the same page. We were going and willing to forgive it last year due to the fact that, new team, all of that chemistry, OBJ was injured. Okay, now it's all of that is aside. I understand it's a new playbook, but we've got to start seeing be put together. Who would have ever thought we'd ever see the day where we wish we would have Eli Manning throwing OBJ the ball again? This is unbelievable. But Baker has to show it. If he doesn't show it tomorrow, I'm full panic mode for OBJ. As far as Landry goes, I'm more excited about Landry. I understand he's got the hip issues. I probably wouldn't play him in this game. However, I do think that moving forward, he's probably going to be the wide receiver you're going to want per. I don't know if it's going to be OBJ. Unless OBJ can show me something tomorrow night.
Yeah, and Landry's also, his reps are being managed. He's coming off of a short week, and he's being asked to play on a Thursday night. So I'm a little bit more averse from Landry this week, just like you said. Yeah, I totally agree.
This Summy, would you be more willing to play? Do you think I should ask this? Do you think OBJ's 10 targets are because they're managing Jarvis Landry back in the lineup? Do you think that Landry, once he plays a full slate of routes, is going to actually command more targets here?
No, I mean, look, if you look the snap count, I mean, OBJ had 75% of the snaps, 55 of them. Landry was not too far behind with 52 snaps, 71%. So, I mean, he was out there. These two guys are pretty much the only options on this offense. And then Austin Hooper is going to be a third read when Kareem Hunt's not on the field. So I think this offense is going to be funneled through these two receivers. So I'm not too concerned with the volume. I think that 10 target range is about what we can expect, 8 to 10 targets a week for both of these guys. I think it just comes down to the production, right? It just comes down to whether OBJ can connect with Baker. And if Baker's not a scared little child running out of the pocket every single drop back,
that's I have this feeling that this offense is going to take like 6 weeks to get going. We've got to remember Stefanski's first job as a head coach of a team. I don't want to give Baker too many outs every year, but like he's learning another new playbook again. So that has something to do with it. And tough draw to play Baltimore your first week. Last final thing here on Cleveland. Austin Hooper worth another start for you guys? Or you are hanging on for one more start here to see with David Njoku out of the picture? Tell me.
Austin Hooper, he's not the sexiest option. I mean, if there's better options on the waiver, like Logan Thomas, for example, I'd be willing to play Logan Thomas over Austin Hooper just because of the volume he's going to be seeing. I think he was second amongst all tight ends in terms of target market share, which is, kind of sneaky value there. Yeah. But I mean, one thing I just wanted to add on:
Dallas Goedert. Would you be playing those guys over Austin Hooper this week?
Who was the first one? Dallas Goedert
or Greg Olsen?
Yeah, I mean, Greg Olsen's the third read in that offense, right? We saw the connection that he and Russ have, and if they let Russ cook more, I mean, 40 pass attempts, 38 pass attempts a game. I like that opportunity with Russell Wilson as your quarterback, and then Dallas Goedert. I mean, I actually just spent a waiver on him because I had Blake Jarwin in one of my leagues, and I think Dallas Goedert, I mean, with all the uncertainty surrounding Ertz as well. I mean, if he gets traded midseason, you just got yourself a tight end one automatic.
Well, I definitely think,
on the other side of the
I would agree. When you're talking about Austin Hooper and like I agree with Summy, and I do say that like you definitely want Goddard. Goddard is a guy who has been playing a ton, even at the tight end position because they've been lining Ertz outside. We'll get into that matchup later, but
Hooper wasn't huge on my radar when we were coming in, and I'm just like not ready to keep on to him. Something else that looks shinier out there, just in my opinion, and you guys may differ with that, but Hooper wasn't a guy I drafted a ton of, and he's not a guy I'm advising people to keep on to. I think you can, like you guys just said, you can get better options out right now. On the other side of the ball, we've got a situation in the Cincinnati Bengals, very low volume for that passing attack last week. Disappearing act for Joe Mixon has caused a lot of FF Twitter to get in an outrage for Joe Mixon and basically say RIP Joe Mixon. So, Summy, talk to me a little bit about this Bengals offense and where you have confidence and where you're kind of lacking that confidence heading into Thursday night.
Yeah, I think it was concerning that we saw Joe Mixon being pulled off the field for passing down work, in favor of Gio Bernard. We see that they paid this back millions of dollars. They signed him to $13 million a year or $12 million a year, and they're still refusing to use him on passing downs. That's concerning. It was encouraging to watch that last drive that he strung together. Dink and Duncan going down the field. I personally don't think it was OPI in the end zone. I think AJ Green scored that touchdown. They should have won, but I mean the Chargers were owed one, and they had to win a game. Yeah, they cashed in. That's their years of bad luck. But Burrow, I think he has a lot of upside. I just want to speak to this pass game really quick before I hand it off to you here, Johnny. AJ Green's healthy. Tyler Boyd's there. John Ross is healthy. He's got weapons upon weapons to produce, and I think it's a matter of time before we see Joe Burrow have a ceiling game as a rookie. I think as he goes on in the season, he's going to start putting it together. I mean, the schedule it's kind of favorable coming up. They got the Philly secondary next week, Jacksonville after that. So I'm looking for Burrow to kind of take advantage of those matchups. And if you look at it, I mean, he ranks 9th amongst all quarterbacks from week 1 in terms of deep passing percentage. So the number of passes or the percentage of his passes that go 20 yards or further downfield. He attempted 5 deep attempts and he completed none of them. So that just tells me that, it's just a chemistry thing. We saw him miss John Ross. We saw him miss AJ Green a couple times. And I think it's just a matter of time before AJ Green has a monster game. John Ross has a monster game. Tyler Boyd, I wouldn't be too worried about him. He's out there second in snaps amongst receivers. So it's just a matter of chemistry here being put together. But Johnny, what do you feel about this?
It's just hard for me to come around on wanting to start Joe Burrow. The weapons are definitely there. You like that. I'm not going to deny you AJ Green look great. Tyler Boyd is a concern. 4 of 5 for 33 yards. Like, this is supposed to be the Jefferson role. That one that you wanted and wasn't able to get him involved. And I just have my concerns because he's a rookie. He's going to be so inconsistent from the week. I mean, even you saw it from even that last drive that he had was a different Joe Burrow than what we saw even throughout the game. The Joe Burrow that we saw in the last drive was the Joe Burrow we saw at LSU. If you're getting that Joe Burrow, then yeah, he's going to be a fantasy stud. But I think it's going to be a while before that is more of a consistent thing because this is a new offense. Because of the lack of time with everything, because of all the questions about where they want pieces to go. I think until they figure all that out and sort it out, and Joe Burrow gets through all of these growing pains, I don't know if he's going to be a consistent and reliable fantasy quarterback. Now, if you're in a super flex, I like him because the upside is definitely there. And I think that he has a solid floor. But if I'm in a 1 QB league, I don't know if I'm holding on to Joe Burrow or, expecting that he'll be a weekly start for me.
One final question before we move on the Bengals offense, and I'll pitch this one to you, Summy. It's a little bit of a two-parter. Joe Mixon had appeared to be one of the safer options in the first round. Are we going to continue to see him pulled off the field for Gio Bernard? And if so, are you looking to wait for a Joe Mixon blow-up game to sell him off? Are you concerned about maybe this offense needing a while to get going and Mixon therefore being kind of a dud in your lineup?
No, I think Joe Mixon's pretty safe. I think he remains a safe option. I think as the season goes on, we'll see the target volume increase. We'll see Burrow start to check it down a little bit more. We'll see him, instead of holding onto the ball and trying to make something happen with it, as all rookies do, we'll see him take what the defense gives him and check it down to Mixon. So I'm not too worried about him. I mean, what do you have? 19 rushing attempts. If he scored a touchdown, he would have been fine. He would have been a mid RB2, back end RB2 week. I mean, it's fine. I'm not too concerned the volume's there. But yeah, I mean, this offense, like you said, Johnny, if they can get consistent, I think this offense can be really special. They do have the weapons here. And again, Cleveland secondary's banged up. So this is a really, really good spot to get right.
I would say it's a sneaky smash the over, but it is a Thursday night game, and I just don't feel right advising to do that in a Thursday.
Yeah, that's a thing. But I mean, if I was a betting man, I'd probably take the Bengals to definitely cover here.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Whisperers podcast. You can hear more from John and Travis on Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TF Whisperers.